Welcome to the Ayni podcast. I'm Juan Ortega, an Ecuadorian Fulbright scholar and a student at Carnegie Mellon, and I created this space for one reason: to share conversations with people who have learned something worth passing on. In this first episode, I'm talking with Bintou Sylla. Bintou is a Fulbright scholar from Dakar, Senegal, studying energy systems engineering at Lehigh University. She arrived in the US as an international student, figuring things out, and since then, she's gone on to represent her university at the United Nations, collaborate with the World Bank and the IMF, and work with the US Department of Energy on energy audits across 3 states. Her story is about what becomes possible when you take the leap. This is Ayni. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the Ayni podcast. Today we have Bintou. How are you doing, Bintou? Nice to see you.
Hi, Juan. Nice to see you too. And yeah, I'm happy to be here and thank you for having me today.
Yeah, it's amazing how we met in a conference that happened in Houston some weeks ago. And, I'm happy we get to talk and share to other people what Fulbright is and many other things, other experiences from other Fulbrighters. And
Mhm,
uh, basically, what I'm planning to do is to talk with people around the globe that got access to many different opportunities as well, right? So it's, as
mhm.
I said, Ayni means meaningful reciprocity. So here we are to share all those experiences. So tell me a little bit about, take me back when you first heard about Fulbright. What made you decide to apply?
Oh my God. I will never forget that day, by the way. It was on February 27th, 2024. I remember the exact date because it was my birthday and I went to school, and in between two classes I saw a professor of mine, a former professor slash mentor of mine, and he happened to be a Fulbright alum. So he asked me one question, by the way, and he asked me, "You good at English, right?" And I said, "Yes." Mind you, by that time I was not fluent in English. I mean, I come from Senegal, which is a French speaking country, but I said yes. So here, lesson number one: when somebody asks you, are you able of or can you do XYZ, just say yes. We're young and intelligent, so we'll figure out the how later. So he asked me that question and I said yes. And then he said, I will share a link with you and you might consider applying. So that was how I first heard about the program. And I'm pretty sure every Fulbrighter have this weird story about how they've heard the Fulbright program for the first time, right? So yeah, and it was 1 week before the deadline. So my application process was a mess, to say the least.
Oh, wow. You had only 1 week to finish all that process.
Yeah.
And I've heard people preparing for the months in advance or even years, other people finding out about a week. And I think that is the idea of this podcast, to share the different experiences. And there is no recipe. I mean, there is good advice. We're going to be sharing some of those right here. But at the end of the day, you have your unique story. And trust me, Fulbright are reviewing every single application carefully. And trust me, from the conference, I understood that everyone shared the same values and ideas and wanting to share and contribute to our communities and to the world. Right. So tell me a little
Yes.
about your first weeks in the US. What was that like? What surprised you the most?
Oh my God. A lot of things. A lot of things. And first of all, I want to say that I traveled to the US without having um how to say it, without having like a housing. So I rent an Airbnb for 1 day and I had 1 day to figure out my housing. So it was like the riskiest trip, to say the least, for myself. Yeah, you travel to a new country because it was my first time in the US and you don't know how you're going to figure out your accommodation. But yeah, at the end of the day, those are details that end up sorting out themselves, I want to say. But the first shock that I had in the US, I mean, we are Gen Z. We like spend a lot of time in social media. And from what I saw on the social media, I thought that the US is a place where everybody is rude.
Oh,
That was my own expectation of the US. I was not expecting people to be as warm as they are in my country, for example. So first shock was people were very nice. I was shocked. Like I took the bus for the first time to go to my city and people were like good morning, driver. How are you doing, driver, today? Thank you, driver. Have a lovely day. I'm like, oh my God, I have been played. I have been played. This is not like what I was expecting from the US, right? So people were very warm, very welcoming, and just like they have decorum, I want to say. And that was the first shock for me in the
Yeah,
US.
and that's interesting because I believe that's the power of traveling. I think we hear, we read, we see a lot of things in social media. Sometimes, it tends to increase bad news. And of course, you can find nice people and rude people everywhere in the world. I mean, everywhere. And I think you can make, if you happen to find some rude person, I think it's more about them than their nationality.
Hmm.
And yeah, I found incredible people here in the US as well. I'm
Okay.
working in a lab right now. My professor, she's an amazing person. I mean, it's just about the values everyone has, right? Of course, there are cultural differences, but that's the idea of being a Fulbrighter. I think what Fulbright brings to the table is that we
Hmm.
are people that like to learn from others as well. So,
Yes.
yeah. So,
Yes.
something that I was really curious about is how did you end up representing Lehigh at the UN? How did the opportunity come about, and what did you learn about that experience?
Oh my God. Yeah, that was a crazy story. So, one thing about me coming to the US under the Fulbright program is that I wanted to experience everything that I had the chance to. So, your university newsletter, you have like a daily newsletter that they send at 1:30 a.m. that like recap all the events that will take place during the day, right? So my first goal was if I see something like an event, a networking event or a workshop or anything that might have an added value for me, I will sign up no matter what. Because like I am a procrastinator, so but I also want to hold to my commitment. So I know that if I sign up now, then by the time the procrastination like spiking, I won't have a choice other than just going. So I did that a lot and it helps me a lot bridge my way through the UN because I went to a workshop that was no way related to the UN. It was like a workshop about peak performance and how to manage your stress prior to presenting something, things like that. And I met a woman there and I told her that I was a Fulbrighter and I come from Senegal. And she was like, my best colleague was from Senegal and he used to like work at the Office of International Students. So Kathleen, she introduced me to that person. And that person, knowing that I'm a Fulbrighter, he introduced me to the former director of the Fulbright program at my university. So I set an appointment and then I went there to talk about the Fulbright program, mind you, nothing about the UN. But he ended up asking me about my career goals and things like that. And I started to talk about that I want to work at an international organization such as the UN or the World Bank Group that's a dream of mine and things like that. And mind you, he said, by the way, I'm the director of the Lehigh University UN partnership. We're going to the UN next week for the General Assembly Civil Society Town Hall. I have one seat left. Do you want to go?
That's amazing.
And the rest is history. So like there is Fulbright in every amazing experience that happened to me in the US because I went to his office to discuss about the Fulbright program and I ended up going to the
Yeah.
UN and we went to the UN General Assembly because my university is like it is an accredited NGO with a consultative status at the ECOSOC. So we have access to general assemblies, to private meetings, and to briefing and things like that. So we go and represent our university. And I asked him, yeah, we're going to represent our university. Okay, but do we have a chance to ask a question? And he said, I don't think that they will open the floor. But guess what? They opened the floor and guess what? I was the only student that they give the speech to. So I had a chance to talk directly to Annalena Barberg and ask her my question regarding the energy, by the way. So that is how it happened.
You know what? And sometimes when I hear these kind of stories, it's like, wow, we built our own luck,
Yeah.
because some things are out of our control. Luck is a factor. I do believe I've been really lucky in my life.
Hmm.
Sometimes people are like, I've been lucky. Oh, no, that's what every person that's gotten this say. I'm like, no, but for real,
Hmm.
sometimes luck is being in the right location at the right time. But sometimes you put yourself there, as you did, right?
Yes.
So you
Yes.
worked to be a food writer, and then you were open whenever there was some chance of networking. You were there, and
I
then
was
that's how
there.
everything. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I tell people sometimes it's like luck does exist, but hey, you have to maximize your luck, and that's what you did. You're a clear example of that. That's amazing. Congratulations. So
Yeah.
what did that experience teach you about yourself that you didn't know before?
Oh my God. So first I want to share a little bit something about myself. If there are someone in the audience that might identify to that, is that it is okay to not know what you want in your 20s. Like it is okay to be lost and not know what is your purpose on life, right? But one thing that you don't want to do is to put yourself in a box. I'm explaining myself. We're the Gen Z. We're like we have mantras like self improvement or continuous improvement. Like I want to be the best version of myself every day and things like that. I understand that, but I used to think that being the best version of yourself is something that happened with one version of you over time. And I think that self improvement is like a dual axis. Sometimes it's within the same time frame you experience different version of yourself and you pick the best in each one of them and then you combine them into what I want to call the premium version of yourself. So
Exactly.
that was the one thing that I wanted to do in the US. Of course, go to school, learn a lot more about the energy field and things like that. But I wanted to like experience myself under different angles. So that was the thing that I have to do here. The things that I would normally not do, I would just sign up and do it, no matter what.
Exactly. Yeah, and
So
sorry
um,
to interrupt. Keep going.
yeah, yeah. So I think that was the thing that my experience with the Fulbright helped me understand is I have a better sense of who I am because I genuinely think answering the question, who am I, is the most difficult question on earth. But you take your time to answer it. Like, I think that you have the answer the second before you die, by the way. But just like having a better sense of who you are, what you're capable of, what you want to do in your life, and what you don't want to do in your life. That was one thing that my Fulbright experience helped me understand a lot. And I'm grateful for that.
That's amazing. And I think it is kind of like you reinvent yourself with every
Yes.
experience. And it's not always linear. We believe, oh, the more we live, the better we get. Sometimes you can get stuck, and that's totally fine. And sometimes you will have to unlearn some stuff. And that's the beauty
Yes.
of traveling and talking to other people because it's like, wait, I didn't know about that. And then you kind of have to reflect. I was speaking with another full writer, and he was talking about the power of reflection and how whenever we believe we did not accomplish anything or something we
Hmm.
wanted so bad, it's like, okay, it's okay.
Hmm.
Let's reflect. Let's see how we can improve it. And I think that's very important. As you said, not idealize one version because I think if we reach a version, we will look for the next thing, right? But rather
Yeah.
enjoy the process. I think the process is a nice thing. And sadly,
Yes.
we realized when it's gone, right? So that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to like do. So what I was thinking about this
Hmm.
podcast is like I want to do it while I'm still a food writer, right? So that's the
Yes.
reason I was like, okay, let's do it right now, because I
Yes.
really enjoy talking to all of you, and I knew everyone had an amazing story. As you said, going to the UN and having a seat
Yeah.
there, that is
Yeah.
cool. So for
That is
someone
very
back
cool.
in Senegal or anywhere in the world who's wondering
Mhm.
what Fulbright is for them, what would you want them to know?
I want them to know that not only because they're from a French speaking country, the Fulbright is not for them. I understand that the US is an English speaking country, of course, but you have your chance. Like, it's something that you can work out and make yourself into the US as a Fulbrighter. There is like no no hurdle in terms of language and no hurdle in terms of academic background, because it's one thing to learn a language, but it's also one thing to understand the scientific jargon and things like that. I get that, but those are easy things that can be easily fixed. And the funny part is that when you travel to a country that speaks English, it's the greatest way to improve your English in every way possible. So yeah, and just like um just be bold, I want to say. Just be bold. We only live once. Like everything that you have to do is once in a lifetime. So just make the
Just do it,
fullest
right?
out of it. The professor that I mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, well, the one that shared the link with me, we had like a last lunch before I came here, and he said the Fulbright, it's a once in a lifetime experience. So make the most out of it. And that was one thing that I kept with me. And I'm living through it every day here. Like I'm doing things that I would not think that I would do. For example, I talk about the UN, but the UN also opened the door to the World Bank. I went to like the World Bank spring meetings, and then I had to like came here, just me, the young girl from Senegal, and I was interacting with like the Minister of Finance from Senegal that I would not see in my own country, but I'm here in DC and seeing him and having the chance to talk with them. So everything is possible. You just have to open the door for change, for it
Yeah,
to happen.
that's amazing. And even someone from our audience is from the IIE or the Fulbright community, or we met this
Hmm.
wonderful woman from the Department of State as well. If any of them are listening, thank you so much for the event and thank you so much for putting in the work. I think we sometimes don't see how much work they are putting in office. And by talking to them and kind of learning how hard it is to schedule everything and process,
Yes.
we're very thankful because you are making a meaningful change, uh, and you are helping us to be here, adapt here. I think it is hard, but it is totally worth it. I mean, getting to know people from all around the globe. I personally haven't met anyone from Senegal and many
Yeah.
different countries around the globe. Honestly, we were a
Yes.
lot of people, more than 120 people from 60 or even more countries,
Hmm.
and I believe being there all with a shared purpose, that's very difficult to gather in a single room.
They did a
So
great job. They did an excellent job, I want to say. And now I want to go to Houston so bad. Guys, let's go back.
yeah, we gotta go back. Probably one of
Let's go.
the audience that might be some of the pool writers we met there. So yeah, guys, we should organize something and go back there and do something fun or go to Disneyland. I don't know. So
Definitely.
what do you think are the values, the core values we all share in the Fulbright community, alumni included?
Yeah. I think from being like in a Fulbright setting for 3 days to a few weeks ago and seeing and talking and exchanging to almost all of them, I think that the shared values that we have is that we're all open mind. We do not see like the word as a black or a white thing. It's like a like a chloroplet of grays, I want to say. So they're all open mind and they're so eager to learn about other person and other cultures and I mean other way of just seeing life. So it's open mind and they're all change makers. They all want to like contribute to the world to like make the world a better place, a livable place in their own way. So they're all change makers. And the last thing I want to say is that they're all leaders in their own way. We all have like different background, different expertise. I met a music major people. I met a diplomat. I met like a data scientist. Like we have so like a variety of background, but we all want to make changes using
Yeah,
our own expertise. And we are community oriented because I hear a lot of projects about their own community. They want to change something in their community. So I think we're a perfect mix of open mind, community oriented change maker and leaders, which is a great community, by the way.
yeah, and that's something that we should tell people
Uh-huh.
that it doesn't matter your background if you have a strong purpose. I mean, I've met people working in different interesting fields. I met this girl that was working in psychology plus art, combining those two things. How do you express what you're feeling through art. I met people working in something as niche as soil, other
Mhm.
people working on video games or robotics, AI, like
Yes.
different fields. What I'm trying to say is, from anyone that is listening and they're trying to apply to Fulbright, don't think that it's meant only for one specific field or a
Definitely.
specific university. No, Fulbright is open to many different fields. But what it's important, you have to have this sense of community, of sense of helping. I mean, of course, you have
Mhm.
to have your own goals and desires. There's no
Mhm.
shame on that. But
Mhm.
you have to bear in mind that Fulbright is a program of uh, helping each other. Basically, it's the whole idea of Ayni as well. The whole idea we
Mhm.
can grow by helping each other grow. So,
Yes.
with that, I wanted to thank you so much, Bintu, for your time. Again, it was such an amazing episode. And as I said, this is the very first episode. So for anybody listening to us, if you want to keep listening to different stories such as Bintu, please
Mhm.
subscribe and check out for other advice. As I said, I'm going to put all your info as well in the description below so they can reach out if
Yes.
they have any questions.
Yes. The pleasure is mine, Juan. And yeah, you can put my email or my LinkedIn profile, and I will be very happy to answer every question they might have and connect with them.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And until next time.
Thank you. Bye.